So I'll start with the talk by sharing a very beautiful Urdu couplet with you guys by one of my favorite Urdu शायर, John Elia. It goes something like, जिंदगी एक फन है, लम्हों को अपने अंदाज से गवाने का. This life that we have, it's an art. It's an art of losing time. Because we all are losing time. At the end of the day, the clock is always ticking. Tuck, tuck. It doesn't stop. When you study history, you realize it hasn't stopped ever. And it makes you humble. It makes you realize that the life that we have is something which is very fragile, very limited, and very beautiful. But we humans, we as a society, what we have done is we have found our escapes. And what we do these days is mindlessly scroll on Instagram, on our phones, on YouTube, and we kill our time without realizing that the magic that we have in front of us is something that is really, really beautiful. So to put things into perspective about this magic of living, imagine you're looking at this earth from above, and what you will see is a vast blue sphere. And on that sphere, there are jungles of streets, highways, roads, and buildings. Buildings like this, where there's you and there's me, sitting down like a speck of dust of universe. Nothing more than that. But a dust which has universe of possibilities within itself. What we have, how we breathe, how we do, what we conduct is something which is very, very beautiful. And it's the magic that I'm talking about. Another thought from the Urdu literature is, जिंदगी क्या है? इसे जानने के लिए जिंदा रहना बहुत जरूरी है. So I'll ask you, are you alive? Are you actually living your life? Are you taking your own decisions? Or are you just doing what the society tells you to? Are you working? Are you studying? And are you paying your bills? Because this is the pre-laid plan. It's a script for the majority of us to follow. So that we become part of this rat race that is there in front of us, which we call as life. And if the answer is you're taking your own decisions, you're doing things for yourself, then comes another question. Where is that fire? Where is that passion of yours that we live for, that we talk about in the human society? But for the majority of us, again comes another question. What is my calling? What is my passion? What should I do with my life? And the answer is, we all are confused. We don't know. But have you ever sat down with yourself, given this thought enough time? A week, a day, a month? No, because we're impatient. We're always in a hurry. We always, what we want is to be successful, to live out things, to buy things materialistically. And in this process, again, we follow the same roadmap of doing the daily tasks and fulfilling the expectations that are on us, laid down by our parents, by our society, by our friends, by our lovers. And we just fulfill them, and one fine day, boom, the life finishes. Again, coming back, how to understand what my passion is. You have to be really, really patient. At the same point of time, you have to question yourself. You have to be with yourself. And this is something that we can't do. We just escape ourselves first, and then the rest of the world. In this process of escaping, what we have done is we have thought that we always think that success is something which is materialistic. In order to achieve it, if I ask you, any one of you, what is your dream? What is that you want to do? Majority of you will stand up and say, I want to buy that luxurious property. I want to buy that fancy car. And this is my dream. Is it? Because I know people who have everything materialistically. And they're unhappy at the very core of their being. They can buy anything. And then we say it's better to cry in a Ferrari. We have found escapes about everything. We have found answers to everything, but not to our passions. We think success is about fame, money, positions. And in this whole idea of success, we have actually lost the process. Success is not something which you'll get at the end of the line. Happiness is not something that you'll get at the end of the line. It's a process. It's a process that you will find along the way in bits and parts. Now to again put things into perspective, let me tell you a story because I am a storyteller. This is what I do. And today I'll tell you my story. The idea is, I was a corporate person doing my 9 to 5 job, living my life on weekends. And then suddenly the world stopped during the hard time, the harsh time of COVID pandemic. Now what happened is, I was cut off from the entire world and I became a burning hot pot of anxiety because there was this constant fear that we might lose one of our loved ones. We might lose our own lives. And the last nail into that anxiety coffin was when I got the disease. I could see my life flash in front of my eyes, the robotic life that I followed my entire time. And then I started questioning things. And because I was cut off from the world, I had enough time to sit down with my thoughts. Now what I did is I tried to find peace and solace into different things. So the best thing was to read books. And I started reading multiple of them. One after another, one after another. As slowly I started gaining health, it became a process. And the idea was not to understand or to take something from the book, because I was so comfortable in this journey that my main goal was to finish the current book that I'm reading and jump to the next one. And this is how we live our life. We always try to finish the task at hand and jump to the next one. And this is what I was doing. I was no different. Until and unless I came across this book called as Different Season by Stephen King. And then there was a quote in that book. Get busy living or get busy dying. And I realized I am busy dying. I am not living. Where is me? Where is my passion? What should I do? And in that curious state, I started looking again for the answers. And I found this kid who was always very curious, who always wanted to understand stories. And that kid was me. And what I did was, I took up those stories. I started reading those characters. And I started understanding the whole idea of the journey. And what I did was, while I was doing all of this, my phone being the only window to the outside world, I started posting all of these stories, beautiful Urdu book stories, because Urdu again is a dying language now. So what I would do is, I would take up those old Urdu books, translate them into English, and put it up on social media. And back in that time, social media was simple because there were no reels. So this is what I used to do. And before I knew it, without any concrete plan of what I have to do, what I should do onto this platform, my post started trending. Here, there, everywhere, everyone is talking about them, everyone is waiting for the next story. Because I would just drop one and a part of it so that people would wait for the next part, just like 1001 Tales. I would tell them half of the story and the next half on the next day. So this is what I started doing. And in that process of finding those stories, I found my peace, I found my happiness. And then it was not a rocky road. Then I started making more and more friends, then started talking to more and more people. And once the lockdown lifted, me and my 4 random friends met at Red Fort. We started talking about the history and heritage of that place. And I posted about that online, again on Instagram. It's been 3 years to that day. 3 years. Each and every weekend of mine is dedicated to random strangers who are curious about their history, about their heritage. And I've hosted more than 1 lakh people in these past 3 years. More than 1 lakh. Half of them, they come to the city with this idea that the city of Delhi is something which is harsh, which is rude, and they go back with a very different idea. And this is what makes me happy. Right? So this is the process that I'm talking about. This is what you have to search. And you will not know this process until and unless you are there. And what we learn from this story is a very simple hack. Right? Because we all want shortcuts in life. So let me give you one. You all have something that you care about. It might be a show, a movie, or any art form, music, dance, anything that you deeply care about. Start posting about it. Start posting about it on the world of social media, because the smartphone that we have in our hands, it's a very, very powerful tool, and we just don't realize the power of the smartphone. So if you start posting content rather than consuming content to escape the fact that you are not happy, because this is what we do. We consume content on Instagram because we are not happy and we are looking for an escape. Rather than that, when we put out content, when we give something, and then if you are patient enough, and if you work from your heart, right, you give it some time, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year down the line, someone will contact you. Someone will contact you with a very simple thing. Why don't you speak about this topic? Because this is what I am doing right now, right? And this is a very, very simple hack. Very simple hack. You've heard so many stories, you've heard so many beautiful speakers. And this is the crux of it. You have to find your process. Because remember, always remember, as I said in the very beginning, we all are losing time. And one fine day, it's going to stop. And before it stops, there will come a day that I call as the day of regrets. The day you will realize you have not loved enough. You have not chased your dreams. You have not taken those risks, and you'll regret them. And that day is so bad, it will impact you in such a way that your whole life that you have lived will make no sense to you. And you don't want that. Right? But at the same point of time, we always find escapes. So once you go back to your places, once you go back to your homes, what you will do is for some time, you will think about all of this that you have heard today. And then later on, again, you will escape all of this. Because you're scared of not being successful. You're scared because you compare yourself to others. What means happiness to me is very personal. What means happiness to you is something which is very personal. Remember this fact. Remember this fact. And once you start doing this hack that I told you about, people will come to you with judgmental stares, with negative comments, and they will call you by names. Never listen to them. Never. Because always remember this song from Bollywood movie, which talks about which gives a very good reflection of our society. कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना. And then listen to that and move on. Listen to that and move on. Listen to that and move on. Day by day. Hustle. Day by day. Work hard. Work with your heart. And then, finally, someday, you'll realize that this is me. So, don't pressurize yourself. Never pressurize yourself. And slowly, in those tiny moments, try to observe life. See a random tree blooming. See the moon rising. See the sun going down. Appreciate life, because this is something which is very, very beautiful. We all are made of the same atoms. That's the beautiful part. The same atoms which make wood, the same atoms which make the sun. It is all revolving. It is all going down. And we don't know where we came from and where will we go, right? And then in all of that, without using this magic, what we do? We pressurize ourselves. So again, I have prepared a roadmap. The next thing, the last thing that I'm going to share with you. A roadmap for myself. See if this works for you. So the idea is, my 20s to 30s is the age where I'm going to try different things. And I'll taste new adventures. I'll start living more and more, taking more risks, taking my life in my hands, taking my decisions in my hand. And finally, when the 30s are over, right, the moment I hit 30s, the age starts from 30s to 40s, which is the age of refinement, which is the age where I'll cut off things that don't come naturally to me. And from that, I'll jump to my 50s and 60s. This time that I have is insanity. It's very small. When we talk about 60 years of life, it is very small. But you give it 30 years, 20s to 30s, where you realize things, 30s to 40s, where you cut down things, and 50s to 60s, where you achieve your dreams. Why do we have to achieve our dreams at 25? Who told you that? I guess we just assumed it. So that's my thought. That's my thought for this talk. Live, realize, love, get your heart broken. Don't scare away from life. Don't go here and there looking for answers. Sit down with yourself. Look inside you, because every life is unique. Every face is unique. We both have the same two arms. We both have the same two legs. But our faces are different. Our minds are different. Our thought processes are different. So how can we work onto a same idea? How can we work on the same plans? No, we cannot. And don't fear. Because what is failure? What is failure to you? Failure is something you won't be able to buy that car. Damn it. That's it. Right? So I'll leave you abruptly. I'll leave you thinking. And that's the whole idea of the talk. I hope you guys learned something.